The second book in the series is Volume 2, Mystery of the Moonfire. And that book was a bit more challenging to write than the first one. I've heard, like sequels are difficult, are hard to do. And I think like this book was no exception. I think the challenging part about it was that I had so many different ways I wanted to go with it. Because the first book, the first story is kind of it's a self-contained introduction to Joel and the world and the characters and everything, and it could easily end there, but then from there, it branches out and the world gets bigger, and there are more characters, more themes that are introduced, and it's part of the kind of the ongoing arc of the whole series. It's the next step in that arc. So there were a number of different ways that I could see going with it. So I think just kind of deciding on a path was probably one of the most challenging parts about that whole process. And I actually, what happened was I ended up writing almost an entire draft of the second book and basically tossing the whole thing out, because after it was done, or mostly done, I realized that only then that okay, maybe that's not the way I wanted to go with this. So I ended up scrapping that, starting basically from scratch, and coming up with another draft which encompassed kind of some of the ideas that I liked from that first draft, but then like adding in all the other stuff that I wanted to do. And what that ended up being was it ended up being kind of this big jumble. It was kind of a mess actually because I threw all the ideas I wanted to do into the same story, and I wanted to kind of see like put it all in there and see what would come out of it. And it was at that point where I started working with a professional independent editor, and she really kind of saved this book. She kind of she saved the whole series maybe by doing this, because she was able to take the draft that I had given her, and she was able to kind of find the story that I really wanted to tell within, like, she was able to look within the weeds, within the mess, and okay, this is what you're really trying to say. I think this is really where you're trying to go, and all this stuff, you don't need this, you don't need that. And then once she pointed that out to me, I saw that she was right, and I said, yeah, okay, that really made a whole lot of sense, and I was able to kind of prune the things that I didn't need, and just really kind of keep the core story that I wanted to have there, and it really, with her help, it turned out really well. So I was really, it was a long, sometimes painful process. At one point, I even asked myself, did I really tell people that this was going to be a series? I mean, I could always stop after the first book, but yeah, then once we got it together with her help, I was really happy and excited about the final product that came out. So it was a long process, but in the end, it was totally worth it.